Hey, we have a different opinion than you.
Well, that could have went better.
Hey fans, this is PG History here, and today we'll be covering the 30 Years' War. We also have a special guest coming on for today, our other host, Trey. Say hi.
Hi.
Nice, now let's get into it.
Well, what was the 30 Years' War?
Well, unlike the 7 or 100 Years' War, the 30 Years' War is relatively unknown to most people, which is honestly kind of surprising considering it killed 1.4% of the population of the Holy Roman Empire. For comparison, the First World War killed 1.7% of the population of Europe, and they didn't even have tanks, accurate guns, or even weapons of mass destruction, such as this man.
But either way, the war started in the Holy Roman Empire, specifically this region of Bohemia. The war started as a result of Protestant-led revolts against the very Catholic Habsburg dynasty. When the emperor sent diplomats to put down the revolt, the Protestants got an idea. What is it?
What if we randomly threw these Catholics out the window, which will certainly lead to their doom?
Okay. Miraculously, they all survived because they fell in a pile of horse dung that broke their fall.
What are you making? A crap angel. How about you? A dung castle. This is fun. Let's say that when we fell out the window, angels came and helped us. Yeah, that'll make it sound less stupid. But we're not. Oh, look, a butterfly. I never thought a butterfly would like dung.
That's a fly.
Spain, being a part of the Habsburg dynasty, naturally supported the Catholics. So did the Catholic League, as the name implies. It obviously supported the Catholics. But then the Spanish ambassador of Vienna... But wait, what's Spain doing in all this? Well, there are 3 reasons why. 1, Spain is Catholic. 2, they are Habsburg and are naturally drawn to the conflict because they are Habsburg. It was a good opportunity as well to conquer the Netherlands, as they never recognized their independence. But anyways, Bohemia, being outnumbered, needed allies, so they sent out letters to pretty much anyone they could.
So why don't we get them first? Hey kid, you want Lusatia?
Yeah, but I don't know if I could go to war against another Protestant power.
Or what about money? You like money, right? Just get in my van and we can do that for you.
Okay.
So with Saxony invading and the Spanish pushing in from the west, the decisive Habsburg victory put Ferdinand II against Frederick V, aka the leader of the movement. This led to a major victory for Ferdinand in the dissolution of the PAP, aka the Protestant Action Party. And this is where it should have ended, yet it didn't. In fact, this is only the first of 4 phases. But why? Well, what should have been a small conflict that didn't have any major side effects turned into a full-blown war. Because after the defeat of Bohemia, the Protestant powers started looking more and more like they would intervene, and that country was...
Drumroll, please. Denmark, or the Danish. But why? Well, there were many reasons. First, they were a Protestant power near the Holy Roman Empire. Second, they, along with many other countries, were afraid of the Habsburg dynasty because they thought they might get too powerful. They were also aided by England and Sweden. So, did they win? Ha! No, absolutely not. While it was a valiant effort, the advance didn't really work out as it was poorly planned, and they quickly went bankrupt. But they weren't the last to try this. Sweden would also make a campaign in the Holy Roman Empire, aided by the French. But isn't France Catholic?
Yes.
And they're funding a campaign against the Catholics.
Also, yes.
Why would they ever do that?
Well, the answer is actually quite simple. For a while, the French didn't like that Sweden was Protestant, although they hated the Habsburgs even more and wanted to bring them down a step or two, and this was the perfect opportunity to do so. In summary, while the French did not agree with the Swedes, they hated the Habsburgs even more. This will happen more and more in Europe until, for the first time ever in European history, for nearly 600 years, politics would become more important than religion.
But why did they care?
Well, the King of Sweden at the time, Gustavus Adolphus, was well aware of the war between Protestants and Catholics, yet he could not participate as he was at war with Poland. That later resolved itself, and the 30 Years' War was next on his checklist. However, After seeing what happened to Denmark, Gustavus quickly remodeled Sweden's military, which was one of the reasons he had such great success on his march.
Oh yeah, I forgot about a spoiler alert.
Gustavus had reclaimed many of the lands lost to the Habsburgs.
And then he died. One, go. After his tragic death, the French and the Swedish sort of switched roles, as France felt that it needed to act now, as Louis XIV was afraid of the Habsburgs because they were a threat to his glorious French Empire, which is why France officially entered the war as of 1635. But why was this, and what did this do to the current state of Europe? Well, this is the phase in which most of the casualties of the 30s War were taken because of the conflict and famine and religious superstitions. This French intervention caused many problems as it made the conflict between France and Spain even more heated. It also put northern Italy in danger as it was a very important choke point for the French and a big moneymaker for the Habsburgs, mostly because of the Mediterranean trade that went on in there. It also opened up a whole new front to the war, which was known as the Rhineland. Despite all this, the war actually kind of cooled down as the Catholic leagues were dissolved and replaced by a single imperial army. It was also at this point when Saxony and Bavaria peaced out. Hey, I'm head out.
Bavaria will come back.
Following this, the French occupied Valentina to cut off the Milan from the rest of the empire. However, they were forced to retreat in July of 1635 due to heavy casualties because of disease and desertion. Then, with a failed Spanish offensive, it was necessary that they should formally join the war in alliance with Sweden, because technically France hadn't joined yet. France then started an invasion of northern Germany under John Banner, which proved successful. Following the Battle of Woodstock, and with Ferdinand II dead, leaving Ferdinand III with a deterring military position, things weren't really looking too good for the Holy Roman Empire. Things were even worse for Spain, as they felt pressured to make peace with France. Even the Treaty of Naples, which was supposed to get them reinforcements, failed. This, along with a couple other events, caused Spain to cut the Spanish Road, which was designed to deliver rations and reinforcements to the front lines in France. This caused France to consider accepting Dutch independence. However, they did not pull out of the war. For now, anyways. Back in Germany, the emperor was pushed back by a Swedish surprise attack, but Banner died, leaving Harald to defeat the imperial force at Wolfenbüttel. Then, his force, mostly German, mutinied, but the situation was saved by none other than Leonard Torsten. Meanwhile, back in France, we have yet another French victory at Capen, and another Swedish victory at the Second Battle of Leipzig, led by none other than Leonard Torsten, again inflicting 10,000 casualties.
The capture of Leipzig also meant that Sweden now had a significant foothold in Germany, despite their failure in Freiburg. By now, the Saxon army was essentially reduced to a few garrisons, and it had become clear to Ferdinand that he would not be able to complete his military goals. Yet he continued fighting in an attempt to discourage other German states from making peace with the French or Swedish, which now seemed especially doable, since France was currently under the control of a 5-year-old. However, French gains in Alsace allowed General Conde to win a famous victory over the Spanish in the Netherlands. Soon after this, Ferdinand invited France and Sweden to peace talks in Westphilia of Munster and Osnabrück, yet these were delayed. But why?
Oh yeah, remember Denmark? Yeah, they're sort of Catholic now, not really, but they switched sides and now they're blockading Hamburg, which means increased payroll payments in the Baltic, causing Sweden and the Netherlands' economy to go down, so the Swedes decided to invade the Jutland. Then Ferdinand showed up and tried to attack the Swedes from behind, which proved to be a disastrous last-ditch attempt to save himself. The Swedes continued into the empire until the leadership of Torsten, with a narrow victory by the Bavarians, at the 3-day Battle of Freiburg continued to put more pressure on Ferdinand to end the war. The Swedes, now under the leadership of Wrangel, as Torsten had to be called back to Denmark, continued the invasion of Bohemia. Ferdinand was then forced to sign an agreement to remain neutral until the end of the war. The remaining Bavarian army was then defeated at Zuschmahausen. The Swedish then executed one final attack on Prague with the objective of getting as much loot as possible before Ferdinand got there. Then Ferdinand signed a peace treaty with Sweden and France on October 24th, 1648, ending the war. But what about the peace terms?
Glad you asked. Well, the Peace of Westphilia was separated into 3 different treaties. The Peace of Munster, between Spain and the Dutch Republic, the Treaty of Osnabrück, between the Holy Roman Empire and Sweden, plus, also named after Munster, the Treaty of Munster, between the HRE and France. The first of which to be signed was the Treaty of Munster, which forced Spain to recognize Dutch independence. It was signed January 30th, 1648. The Dutch were also given a monopoly over trade conducted through the Scheldt estuary, ensuring the commercial ascendancy of Amsterdam. Meanwhile, the Spanish capital of the Netherlands, Antwerp, which was once one of the most important port cities in Europe, would not fully recover until the 19th century. The other 2 treaties, Munster and Osnabrück, allowed German states to make peace with both France and Sweden, which was only signed because the Swedes were extremely close to capturing Prague. The treaties also forced the Catholic people to accept religious minorities, which included Protestants. Yes, I win.
Dude, chill. In terms of territory, Sweden was given West Pomerania as an imperial estate, and France annexed the Capole and Upper Alsace.
In the years following, religion became less and less important in European politics and would eventually be replaced with actual politics and philosophy. Some even believe that this war may have laid the groundwork for the French Revolution.
Now it's time to play everyone's favorite game, the casualty game. Now let's see how many people the 30 Years' War killed. Drum roll, please. The 30 Years' War killed 8 million people. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe. Our next video will be on the Russian Revolution, so keep an eye out for that. Anyways, see you guys next time. Unfortunately, our other host couldn't make it today as he is on vacation. I am definitely not jealous, but he will be returning as soon as possible.